I had a dream the night before last, about my ex-partner who passed away like 3 years ago. And she has not visited me in dream space in probably upwards of 5 months, and I'm not okay. So 2 days ago I had watched one of the recent episodes of Mayim Bialik's Breakdown. It was the title is something to the effect of you choose this life. And that's something that my mother had instilled upon me since I was very young. So that's something that has always resonated with me and with my upbringing. And there was something else in that video, or in that podcast episode, that mentioned that your vibrational frequency, when it changes, that frequency is like some sort of like a radio frequency, and that you can then access different information depending on that frequency. So something happened that night that flipped a switch, and she visited me in dream space, and I'm not super thrilled with that. I don't want communication with her anymore. And I figured out after time that she didn't actually, she had cancer twice, and her second bout of cancer was pancreatic cancer, and she died on the Lionsgate portal on August 8th, like almost 4 years ago. And it took a while. At first I was like, well, that's not realistic. So my first thought was, did she fake her death and then just go back to Iran and is living her life like under the radar? So it took a little while for me to like rationalize that no, she did not. And my life is such that I can't believe that the universe would allow a relationship that we had that was so special and so meaningful, and we honestly loved each other, for the universe to like divinely take that away. So the rational conclusion is that, and I don't talk to her family anymore, that she took her own life, and it wasn't cancer that did it, because I had seen her just 2 months prior to that, and she looked like she was going through treatment, and she had lost a lot of weight, and she was very frail, but she wasn't knocking on death's door. And so it was really hard for me to think that just 2 months after I had seen her looking alive and gardening, and that she would die from cancer. So it took a while for me to come to terms with the fact that she actually did take her own life. And because I don't talk to her family anymore, like, they won't just tell me this. And the last time I spoke to her sister, one of her sisters, she had like a ton of sisters, the way that she was interacting with me. It was like something is definitely off here, and I just don't think they want to tell me that she actually killed herself. So anyway, I don't want to be visited by her anymore. And so I've been feeling very odd the past couple of days. I didn't dream at all last night, which I'm fine with. And, in the dream, it was very visceral. Like, she did not visit me in a ghostly form. She was fully alive in my dream, and she looked healthy, and we couldn't talk about she didn't want to talk about anything real. She just kind of she didn't want to talk about anything, and I think in my dream I tried like having a conversation with her, and she didn't want to talk. She just wanted to be together. And that's not something that I want. We were broken up when she passed away, and I was starting to move on from her, and then when she did this, it just, I don't know, it made things all around difficult. So anyway, I am curious. I feel like there is an energetic shift that's happening. I don't know if it's just residual from, just having that dream space astral interaction with her, or if this is an energetic, like a permanent energetic shift and leveling up. And now, like, my tuition has been, while it's I think it's pretty accurate, I still can't hone it necessarily to where I understand everything that I am intuiting. And I'm not going to devote my life's work to doing this. I was raised Wiccan. It's my religion, but I'm not like a pagan nun or anything of that sort. And I don't necessarily want to be, right? Like, I am here in the physical world, and I am going through life, walking through the human world, and I don't necessarily want to devote my life to, say, like being a high priestess, and going that route. One, I just don't think that if I were to take that time and devote all of my energy to that, I don't think that I would become stronger as a witch. I don't think that my, powers, my intuition, whatever, would become stronger. I think it gets stronger and it gets honed in this process by walking through life as a human in this incarnation. And I am curious, though, if this is an overall energetic leveling up, and I'm curious if other people have experienced this as well. Is this like a mass shift that people on, this energetic wavelength are experiencing? That I'm really curious about, if this isn't just like a one-off, if this is more of like a collective vibrational leveling up, shifting upward. And I'm wondering if this is going to lead my intuition to be more discernible, more easier for me to hone in on, and because things will happen, and won't necessarily understand what it is until like months later. So it doesn't help me in the present moment when things are happening. So I'm curious if this understanding, this intuition, this sort of premonitioning, what have you, is going to be, if there's going to be a shorter temporal gap between when it happens to when I actually fully understand what it means. So I'm curious if other people are experiencing that as well. And I've also, my mother taught me to control my dream space back when I was a child. And it's funny because the new Scream came out, Scream 7, and I watched that, and I thought that was actually pretty good as far as like sequels go. And when the first Scream came out, I think I was like 8 years old or something, and I had nightmares for weeks after that. So my mother taught me to control my dream space when I have nightmares. And that's something that I did not do this last time when my ex had, visited me in dream space. However, I feel like now that is a boundary that I will have to set, because I remember probably about a year or so ago, I was so angry that she was visiting me in dream space, and I was able to shut that off, but for some reason, because I was mad at her for not being here anymore, for leaving me. And even though we were broken up at the time, because that was sort of, we would break up and then we'd get back together, and that's just how it was going for years, because she was in the closet. She would always be in the closet, and I wanted to have more of a full life with her. We had talked about getting married, we talked about having kids, but ultimately she could not come out of the closet. And that was always a point of friction between us, even though I didn't want to make it so, right? Like, I actively chose at one point then, because I wanted to be with her, that I would give up the notion of wanting to have kids with her, because it was more important to me that we were together and happy than not together. And then she got sick again and blah, 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 whatever. But that was sort of the pattern, that was the friction that led to this pattern of she and I breaking up and getting back together, multiple times towards the end of our relationship. And I don't want that to continue now in this astral plane, right? Like, I don't want her to think that she can just visit me whenever that plane, whenever that frequency is opened. I don't want her to think that is an invitation to come and visit, because I do want to move forward, and I feel like I have been, and this really shook me, and I don't want that to keep happening. So, if she does decide that she wants to visit me again in dream space, I will have to actively take charge of controlling the dream and, telling her to go away. Which is just, it's so difficult, I can't be, I don't know if we can have that sort of an energetic relationship on this astral level, where I would like it to be that we could be friends, and this is probably going to sound so out there if people are not on that, understanding of, energy and incarnation and the spirit world. It would be nice if we could have a relationship that is more of a friendship, I suppose. And the thing is I don't know if that would have happened in this realm, in this plane of existence, right? Like if she were still alive and I was, I move on and I find somebody else, I don't know if she and I would have been able to continue a friendship because of how much we loved each other and how much we both wanted it to work out, even though I wanted more than she could do. I don't know if that's going to be different now that she is on an astral plane. I don't know. I want to say that possibly it could, but I feel like that's not where she was at when she visited me the other night. She was not wanting it to be. She wanted a relationship still, and that's not something, like, I am not going to be beholden to a ghost. That's not what I want for myself. That's not what I want for my life. So I don't think she wants to let go in that respect, which is why she did what she did the day she did. And I don't know, I feel like this is some sort of like an energetic shifting upward. I don't know. I would also like to get out of this funk, this energetic funk. I feel like hopefully it will level out and even out and integrate more to be, for me to feel energetically normal again, and being able to tap into my intuition temporally with less space than it is now. So I'm curious, has anyone else gone through this, something similar, where you feel like it's an energetic shifting and leveling up and an integration space, or if this is just gonna kind of like even out and go back to, the baseline where it was at before. So let me know, others who are following an energetic and spiritually enlightened path, what your thoughts are, what your experience is. Okay, thanks. Bye.